Setup lines. If you're new to setup lines, this is going to blow your mind. If you're not new to setup lines, then it'll be a good refresher. And there's always new ways that I'm finding to create setup lines, to make setup lines better, to set up your hook better. And so if you're not familiar with setup lines, the way they work is, imagine in volleyball, the person that spikes the ball. If they spike it for that point. If you can imagine that as the title of your song, and then imagine the teammate that just tips the ball up in the air at the perfect, angle for the spiker to come in and really land a hard spike. So that little tap in the air, that's your setup line. And the way that works is, you want a setup line in your song to set up your title so your title has the most impact. So your title has the biggest punch. And there's a lot of ways to do this. Most of them revolve around contrast. And I know we talked in a past lesson about contrast between sections for, you have a verse and your pre-chorus comes in and you want the pre-chorus to really contrast your verse. And then when your chorus comes in, you want your chorus to really contrast your pre-chorus. Well, setup lines work the same way. The more contrast you can have in that setup line, the more power and punch your title is going to have. Rosie, yes, I'm glad you could make it. Rosie, for you, it's evening. Over here, it's a beautiful day in Nashville. It's so incredible. So we haven't had great weather the past couple of months in Nashville. So it's really beautiful to see out today. So there's a couple of places usually in the chorus of your song where the title hits. Often it's in the beginning of the chorus, the first line of the chorus, or it's in the last line of the chorus, or it's in both. Those are the two most common places that titles hit. There are titles that hit in other places, and I'll play you one song, an example of that. And there's sometimes the title will be, you'll have two lines title. It'll be like the third and sixth line of a chorus. But most often, choruses, they're in the beginning, first line or last line or both. And so we're going to talk about how to make those stand out in all those different places. As we're going, if you got questions, just pop them in the chat. I can see those. And I love to answer questions, because if you're thinking something, then I know there's a lot of other people out there that are probably thinking the same thing. And I know I've probably thought it, before I learned all these techniques. So jump in. We love to hear from you. So first line of the chorus, last line of the chorus. So the setup, let's just take the last line of the chorus and we'll do that first. The setup line is the line before the last line of the chorus. And the more you nail that setup line with contrast, then the more power and punch you're going to have. So let's take a listen. I'm going to play you song examples today from country, from pop, from R&B. We're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to start off kind of, 10 years ago, and we're going to move forward to some current stuff. But setup lines have been going on for decades. I mean, they're just a part of DNA of songwriting. Now, does every song have a great setup line? No. And it doesn't mean that you can't write a great song without a setup line. I just want to give you another tool to use. I've had success with songs that had great setup lines, and I've had, success with songs that didn't necessarily have a classic setup line. So I want to just give you another tool that you can use in your arsenal to make your songs better, because it's all about how you land that chorus hook, that title, to make people feel what you want them to feel. All right, first up, let me play you a little Darius Rucker song. I'll play you a verse chorus, and then pay attention to the next to the last line of the chorus. And we're going to look and we're going to talk about that. I'll start a little.
I left out in a cloud of tail lights and dust. Swore I wasn't coming back, said I'd had enough. Saw you in the rear view standing, fading from my life. But I wasn't turning round. No, not this time. But don't think I don't think about it. Don't think I don't have regrets. Don't think I don't get to me. Between the work and the hurt and the whiskey, don't think I don't wonder about. Could have been, should have been, all worked out. I know what I felt and I know what I said. But don't think I don't think about it.
All right. So, chorus of that song. So you notice it starts out with the title, but it establishes a pattern. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. It does that throughout the whole chorus. And so you're kind of locked into this groove. Before we get to the last line of the chorus, I want that last line of the chorus to really stand out. So I want to break out of that groove that we've established. I want to go somewhere completely different. And so I did a couple of things. I broke up, instead of having one long line, we went to two short lines for the setup line. I know what I felt and I know what I said. We held the words said out. That's a big thing in setting up titles, because we've got a real rhythmic title. Don't think I don't think about it. So it's real rhythmic. So if we can have a long note before that comes in, it's going to give you contrast. Know what I said. Don't think I don't think about it. It's almost like you're thinking, I know what I know what I felt, and I know what I said, but don't think I don't think about it. So by offering the contrast of that long held note and the contrast of that whole line is a completely different rhythm than the title line, then that really nails that title in a way. If we had just kept the same groove, don't think I don't think about it, don't think I don't have regrets, but don't think I don't think about it, it doesn't really make you feel anything when you get to that last line. It just feels like, oh, we've tagged a title onto the end of the chorus. But when you make them stop and think, and I know what I said, but don't think I don't think about it. So that's one of the classic ways to set up your hook, is to give them a long line and then boom, hit them. Any questions about that so far? Good to see you, Laura Dean. Jody's here. Jody, did you notice my new setup in the back here? I have a keyboard. Jody and I talk studios all the time, so awesome. So that's the most classic form that you can have when you talk about setup lines. The big thing I want to talk about here too is, I know this is usually a music course that I do here each week, but look lyrically at what's going on. If you can offer contrast, what I call opposites, I know what I felt, but don't think I don't think about it, where you have feelings, think. I know what I said, but don't think I don't think about it. So you have that contrast of opposites. Well, I said this, but I think this. So if you can have in that setup line lyrically, if you can have the complete opposite, there's a famous song, that one of the best country songs ever written, called The Song Remembers When, and it has a killer setup line. It's Even if the whole world has forgotten, the song remembers when. So you have that forgotten and remember. And those are, to me, just some of the killer classic songs have those in there. And new songs. I mean, you'll hear songs out on the charts now that have them. But offering a melodic opposite, where with Don't Think I Don't Think About It, you have the short staccato notes in the title, but we have the long note before it, complete opposite. You tag that with lyrical opposites, and then it just has a double punch to it. Happy Ron, good to see you here, man. Okay, let's look at another line. Now, this song I'm going to play you is by Lady Gaga. This is a little different because usually, you know, that you end the B section, the chorus section with the title. She uses the title as the setup line, but it still has that setup line payoff. And so we're going to listen to that and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm not going to play the whole verse. It's kind of long. Let's share this one.
Hills, if you could find a dry way, I'd forever be still. But you're giving me a million reasons. Give me a million reasons. Giving me a million reasons. About a million reasons. I bow down to pray. I try to make the worst seem better. Lord, show me the way to cut through all this worn out leather. I've got 100 million reasons to walk away, but baby, I just need one good one to stay.
All right. So we could see with that, baby, I just need one good one to stay. So the title is, I've got 100 million reasons to walk away. They put the title Million Reasons in the setup line. So I've got 1,000,000 reasons to walk away. She holds a long note. Remember we talked about long notes? To walk away. Boom, payoff. But I just need one good one to stay. And so you don't often see that. Usually the title is the payoff, but here they've just flipped it. So I've got 100 million reasons to walk away. Remember we talked about opposites, walk away, but I just need one good one to stay. So we got walk away, stay. We've got long note. And they also do something cool. If you've taken any of my melody classes where we talk about interval jumps, I've got 100 million. She puts those interval jumps in that setup line where you're bouncing back and forth between two notes. And that's a really big contrast to the static line of, baby, I just need one good one to stay, which is a very tight da 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 da. It's just moving in little increments. But the big interval jumps, I've got 1,000,000 reasons. More contrast. Oh yeah, Matt. I should have brought this up, Matt. You said chord progressions going into the payoff line is really nice. Yes, that was on the other song where I went to more of a minor chord progression in that in the setup line, and that helps. You know, a lot of songs today have the same chords in verse and melody, in verse and chorus. So the melody becomes more important. So regardless of chords, I like a melody that offers a lot of contrast. Then if you want to do contrasting chords, that just makes it even more powerful. Devin, Morgan Wallen's Somebody, you're saying, Somebody's Problem does this really well. Yes. Yeah. Bumbleblast says that Clay pays attention to all the nuance in a song. Yes. And, you know, it wasn't always that way. But I'll tell you, this is why I like doing these sessions, because when I got my first publishing deal, I think I was like 38. And my publisher started getting me in rooms with some really great writers. I mean, Hall of Fame writers, just some amazing writers. And I started learning this stuff. I started, picking up what they were doing. And so that's why I like to share this stuff with you, because I want to keep songwriting, the craft of it, alive. I want you guys to carry that torch and always write your best. I know that we can pull up songs that you can go, look, they're breaking all the rules and this was a hit. And it's like 2 years later, nobody remembers the song. I don't really want you to shoot for the bottom of the barrel. I want you to shoot by paying attention to those classic, incredible songs that people will listen to for a long time. The songs of the years. That's what I want your bar to be. And I think if you do that, if you start off with your bar high and you pick up all these little nuances that people are doing, you're going to be a much better writer than if you're trying to just go, well, I can write a better song than that one. That that was maybe a hit, but it wasn't the greatest song in the world. That's never been my goal. And so I want you guys to shoot for the top. I'm going to have to go listen. I know I've heard Somebody's Problem, Devin, because I've listened to that album several times. I don't remember specifically, but I think you're right. It has a little twist on there, like the Lady Gaga. Yes, Happy Ron says, learn the rules before you break them. I don't even think of them as rules. Like, my approach has never been rules-based. It's always been tools. So, like, I'm teaching you a tool today about setup lines. I'm not saying the rule would be a great song has a setup line. No, that's not always the case. But this will give you another tool that you can use. And so if you have hundreds of tools at your disposal, and then you can pick and choose where you use them, And in fact, I'm fixing to play you a song where it's really not a normal song structure at all. It's but it worked. It's a huge song and it's a great song. But it illustrates another way. Okay, so let's put that classic kind of setup line aside. Let's look at other ways. Let's look at what if your title's at the top of the chorus? How can we set up that title? And let's look at a couple of different ways. Play this Panic at the Disco song. And it's got a long verse before it comes into the chorus. That's kind of what it starts off with the chorus. I'm going to try to find just the verse where it comes in. We'll bypass that first. Okay, yeah, Mama Said.
Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great. Go make a legacy, manifest destiny. Back in the days, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history, light up your wildest dreams, museum victories. Every day, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated, all tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have.
All right. Check out the way they make that top of that chorus punch. You have a long verse. The lowest note of the verse is right before the chorus comes in. So you go from this low note, waited, had to have. So you're jumping up an octave at the top of that chorus. You go from the low note, right? Let's hear that again.
It's a little complicated, all tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have hopes for living.
Man, that just brings in so much punch and power. So you go from this low note way down in the register to boom, high hopes. that's always very effective. I have the first number one song I ever wrote, Beautiful Mess. It does the same thing. It goes really low for the last note of the verse, and then boom, when the chorus comes in, it's like emotional. You know, there's a power there. Any questions? Heidi, you're talking about Amy Grant. Are you talking about the interval jumps where she does the interval jumps? Yeah, you find it in all styles, from classical music to hip hop to pop to country. Interval jumps are a cool thing. I like to think of interval jumps as they're great to put in a song where you need to bust up the groove. You need to like wake people up. It's kind of like slapping them in the face and going, hey, listen to my song here. Good to see you, Jody. Contrast is king, yes. Let's listen to another tune. One of my favorite Max Martin songs by The Weeknd.
Me, the worst is yet to come, but at least we'll both be beautiful and stay forever young. This I know, this I know. She told me don't worry about it. She told me don't worry no more. We both know we can't go without it. She told me you'll never be alone. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it.
Okay, so they do the opposite. They put the highest note up in the end of that verse. Whoa, whoa, whoa. They do this little walk up where they're going really high, and then they drop it down for this chill chorus. So having this, I can feel my face when, having that chill chorus, which is not high energy, it's just kind of grooving along, putting the high energy right before it, and then you drop it down for that chorus, and it's major contrast, and it sucks you in. When people, when you whisper, people listen. When you yell at them, they kind of move back. So by sucking that chorus down and whispering, it pulls people in. It makes them hear it. Let's check that out one more time there at the end.
No more. We both know we can't go without it. She told me you'll never be alone. I can feel my face when I'm with you.
Okay, they do another cool thing here too. Those little pickup notes before the chorus, not only are they high, but they're all syncopated. So it really sets up the chorus. Now, if you notice, the chorus is very straight. I can feel my face when I'm with you. It's solid eighth notes. Bum, 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 bum. So when you, in your pre-chorus, right before it, have syncopated notes, oh, 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 I can feel my, that ta, 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 where it's on the upbeat, totally sets up contrast. If you were on this last time we did a music lab on YouTube, I gave out a contrast worksheet, and I talk about straight notes versus the syncopated notes. And that's a classic example of that. So if you have a chorus that comes in straight, give it some syncopation before you hit that chorus. Oh, 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 boom, into the chorus, and it just pulls people in. Any questions? Let's go back here and see if I can see any. Peter's saying, what if you have a pre-chorus building to the chorus? Yes, well, this song had one. I started it in the pre-chorus. So that's part of how you do it, is if you have contrast. You know, so far we talked about High Hopes, where they had the contrast of this low note in the pre-chorus and then boom, really high note in the chorus. This song was the opposite. had the highest note in that pre-chorus, and then it came down for contrasting chill chorus. So yeah, I mean, if you have a title at the top of that chorus, you absolutely need to set it up lyrically and musically. You need to set it up. Yeah, Matt Murph says that in the Weeknd also went from a stream legato in the pre-chorus to more staccato in the chorus. Yes, and that's what we talked about in the last music lab, was contrast between sections. And that's real important. Like if you have a real straight note kind of chorus, then having, if it's a choppy dun 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 dun, then having those long notes in the pre-chorus are really gonna set up that chorus nicely. But today we're gonna look at just the line before the title. And when you do that, contrast in that one line becomes important. So you don't just need contrast between sections, you need contrast inside of a section with your setup line and your title. Heidi says, when the bass is added with that chill chorus, it always grabbed my attention. Yes. Yeah. She said that she never knew why, but it's now clicking. Yeah, it all adds up. Now, you'll find that because the song is so well written, it allowed them production-wise to get real big at the end of that verse, that pre-chorus. They got real big, and then they sucked the chorus production down. So then the chorus is just like drums and bass and vocal, and it's almost like they compressed the arrangement. They could do that because it was written into the song. And so the best productions often follow the songs. People go, well, we can fix it in production. Well, I think if you have a great song, then your production is going to be even better. It's hard to fix a bad song with production. I mean, you might make it sound better, but it's never going to sound great, in my opinion. Michael Hadley says, Ed Sheeran, Bad Habits. Yes, I almost talked about that. I pulled up another Ed Sheeran song to talk about today. But yeah, great contrast. It really is today more than ever in songwriting about contrast. And if you didn't catch the last music lab, go back and listen to it, because I gave you that worksheet with all the different ways you can contrast. And every time I write a song, I'm looking at that checklist and I'm going, okay, can I improve anything in this song with this checklist? And they're little things, but they make a big difference. Let's move on. Let's go to some Ed Sheeran.
They might help. It's been a while, my dear, dealing with the cards life dealt. I'm still holding back these tears. Well, my friends are somewhere else. I pictured this year a little bit different. When it hit February, a step in the bar, it hit me so hard. Oh, how can it be this heavy? Every song reminds me you're gone, and I feel the lump form in my throat. 'Cause I'm here alone, just dancing with my eyes closed.
Okay, so this technique is a small technique, but it really works. Go back and listen to the very last line of this pre-chorus. I'll play it one more time.
It be this heavy. Every song reminds me you're gone, and I feel the lump form in my throat. 'Cause I'm here alone.
I'm here alone. Hear how he cuts that word off real short, and it's soft. I'm here alone, just as I went. It's like he's like almost whispering. He's singing so soft, and he clips that note so that there's a definite pause. And having that pause before you hit the title makes it a lot more punchy and powerful. Listen one more time.
February, a step in the bar, it hit me so hard. Oh, how can it be this heavy? Every song reminds me you're gone, and I feel the lump form in my throat. 'Cause I'm here alone, just dancing with my eyes closed. 'Cause
He does another cool thing lyrically where it's kind of like he poses a question, and then in the setup line at the end of that chorus, I don't know what else to do. He's like posing this question, what do? I don't know what else to do. So I keep dancing with my eyes closed. Where you have this question and then you follow it up with the answer. I don't know what to do. So I keep dancing with my eyes closed. That's another powerful technique that people use all the time, is kind of this question and answer delivery. It's probably the second most powerful way for setup lines to do next to the opposites. Any questions there? Did you catch the triplets in the pre-chorus? So to completely offer contrast, he went to triplets in his melody. Dun, 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 triplet in the pre-chorus. And that made that section totally different than the other sections. Mr. Frank, good to see you here, Franklin. Dan saying, if we are a songwriter and really not good at singing, and we want to apply the tips given here, what's the best way to convey this to our demo singer? I like to be at sessions with the demo singer. If you can't, there's some singers that will do the session online where you could be on a thing like this and watch, like on a Zoom call and watch. Then that way you can, when they're singing the setup line at the end of the chorus, you could be like, oh, can you hold that note longer? You know, or can you put a pause right between the last line of the verse and the chorus? Like, you can offer those suggestions. But a lot of it's just going to be written into the melody of the song. Even if you're not a singer, writing songs that have contrast, like if you have a rhythmic kind of title, then putting long notes in the line before the title is going to set up contrast. So if you can write those into the songs, and you don't have to be a great singer to do a work tape to give to a singer. You know, they can often hear through it if you can hit anywhere around the pitch. And even if here's what I would not do. I would not go, well, I don't sound good holding notes long. If you're not singing the record, if you're not singing the demo, it doesn't matter. For that tape that you give to the singer, that recording, hold the note out. Who cares if it sucks? They're going to make it better. You just want to get your idea across to them. Doug said that melody sounded like Wrecking Ball. And then I would say which Wrecking Ball, because there's different Wrecking Ball songs. There's so many songs out there. Kelly says, which worksheet are you referencing? In the last music lab, if you look on YouTube here, you can screenshot. I put up a worksheet for probably 10 minutes of that, about 75% of the way through, and you can screenshot it. It's just a contrast worksheet. If you're in my advanced melody class, if you've been in that, then I give that worksheet out. Plus, and I have some other stuff I add to it. I can't remember, Kelly, if you were in my advanced melody class, but if not, I can get it to you. Just email me. Rappers use a lot, Michael's saying here, rappers use a lot of rhythmic contrast. Yes, they are all about rhythmic contrast. And Ed Sheeran uses triplets a lot, but it's not just in rap or hip hop or pop music. I mean, I hear triplets all the time in country. You know, a group like Old Dominion, they live on triplets. You know, they have them in a lot of their hits. So, you know, that's a big thing if you want to level up your songwriting and you're not a singer. It's easier to sing rhythmic stuff when you're not like a great vocalist. So learning to write in I've got some straight notes going. Here's the pre-chorus. Let me do some triplets. That's a great way to level up your writing as a writer. Mystic Marvel says, singers can also sing between chest voice, mixed voice, head voice. Yes, that's all true. That creates contrast. If you are a great singer, that can be a tool that you can use. I don't think you have to have those things there's plenty of great songs that don't have all of those, head voice and falsetto, and plus every singer's different. If you write a song and, Adele cuts it, say Chris Stapleton, he had a bluegrass song that he wrote early in his career. It was recorded in one key. Well, Adele cuts it and she puts it in a completely different key. And so what she can do with her voice in that other key is going to be a lot different than what he can do with his voice. So I try not to make my songs voice dependent. I want, and I have had hits with falsetto in it, but I try my best not to make it where if you can't sing this style, you're not going to be able to record it. I mean, I want great singers, I want a lot of great singers to sing a song, so I don't want to try to exclude anyone. Okay, Happy Ron, might need to dig a bit more into it. I have Studio One DAW. Yeah, Studio One's a great DAW. Any more questions before we move on? Hit me with your questions. Let's listen to some Lewis Capaldi. People that know me know I love this song. Let's listen to a verse and chorus.
I'm going on during this time. I feel there's no one to save me. This all and nothing really got away. You're driving me crazy. I need somebody to hear, somebody to know, somebody to have, somebody to hold. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you numbed all the pain. Now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved. I'm going.
Man, what a powerful vocal performance. And I love the sixth, ding, 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 those little six all the way through the piano. Just gives this kind of haunting feeling. So this song is a completely different technique, the way I hear it. And, we all hear music differently. But I hear the entire chorus as the setup line to that last line of the chorus. Because the reason I hear it like this is that every line is the same. Rhythmically and melodically, almost every line of the chorus is the same until the last line. Da 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 da. It's changing chords, changing words, but pretty much, for all intents and purposes, every one of those lines, they're short. Let me see if I can pull up the lyric here for you guys. Yeah, so now the day bleeds into nightfall. See how short those phrases are? And then when he gets to the title at the very end, it's completely different than all those other lines. I was getting kind of used to being someone you love. So it's twice as long and it's more legato as opposed to the other lines. Now the day bleeds in the night dawn. So the way I hear that is I hear that entire music section as a setup line because it's all the same. And then that way, when they get to the end of the chorus with those long held notes, then you feel them and it draws attention to itself. So basically the idea is your title line needs to be different than the line before it or several lines before it. It just needs, if all the lines before it are the same, then the title needs to be completely different. Sometimes, like in that first song I played, You Don't Think I Don't Think About It, the title's sung the same at the first line of the chorus and the last line of the chorus. So then the setup line is just the line before that last line. So then it's one line. And usually the setup lines are one line. But in this case, man, I love this song. Let me hear this chorus one more time.
Nobody to hold, it's easy to say.
Oh, and you hear, we were just talking about falsetto in this pre-chorus, because the chorus is such hard-hitting and so rhythmic, he goes to the long-held falsetto notes in the pre-chorus.
Somebody to hear, somebody to know, somebody to have, somebody to hold.
But if another singer was singing it, they could sing the same melody without doing the falsetto. And that's what I think makes this a special song.
It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you know the pain. Now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pulled the rug.
Change.
I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved.
Man, brilliant. That song works on so many levels. I could spend a whole hour just talking about all the different things in that song. It's brilliantly written. Okay, y'all, before we wrap it up, hit me with some questions. Jay says she's working on more contrast. Yes, you can almost not have, it's almost impossible to have too much contrast in songs today. I would rather see you go too far and learn how to dial it back from there than, because most people, when we think, oh, these don't sound like they go together, they do go together. We just have to reprogram the way that we think. Most people have a hard time going too far with contrast. So the better you can get at doing the contrast thing, the more impact your songs will have. You're welcome, Peter. Okay, let's wrap it up. Hey, check out SongTown if you're not a member. I know a lot of you guys and gals here today are SongTown members. If you're not, check us out. We help you write better songs. Once your songs are at a good level, we help you get connected to people in the industry, and we'd love to help you chase whatever dream you're chasing. If it's just to learn to write a great song, that's awesome. If it's to get someone to record one of your songs, that's awesome too. Whatever your goal is, SongTown's a great community to help you get there. Okay, you're welcome, MTP Studios. You're welcome, Sean. Welcome, Peter. You're welcome, Jane. Okay, y'all. Have a good day. Enjoy your Sunday, and we'll check you out soon.